Precal, this is problem number 8-75. Let me get closer. And it says the average high temperature can be modeled by using a sinusoidal function. The highest average temperature is 85. Happens on July 17th, which is day 197. So I took those two pieces of information and I decided that I want time to be on my x-axis and temperature to be on the y-axis because that's the way it's usually shown. So I'm just jotting this down. On day 197, here's the temperature, and then the lowest temperature was on day 17, and it was 37 degrees, and they want to know, they want me to write an equation that models the temperature, and they gave me a big clue. They want it to be sinusoidal, so I can write it in sine or cosine. And they also gave me another clue that I want to assume there's 365 days in a year, so that kind of tells me that I want to use my period, have my period be 365 days. So I started out with the with the 365 days. I know that period equals 2 pi over b, so I set the period equal to 2 pi over b, multiply both sides by b, divide both sides by 365, and here's b. Because I want my, I want to get it into either sine or cosine, but I want an amplitude, I want b, I need h and k if there are h's and k's to be had. So at least now I've got b. Then after I got b, I sure didn't know what to do next. I didn't know if I should use sine or cosine, and I kind of wanted the amplitude and the center line, and the easiest thing for me to do was just to draw a very quick, rough sketch. So I decided on the bottom, since there's 365 days, I decided to count by 20s, and on the y-axis I decided just to count by 10s because that's how much space I had, and I plotted the low point, that 17, 37-ish, and I plotted the high, which was 197, 85, and that helped me understand, like I didn't have any of this part over here yet, but just those 2 points helped me really understand, okay, well now I can find the center line, can't I? Because I have a low one and a high one, so I can average them together to get the middle. So that's what I did first. I mean, there's different ways of doing this, but the fastest way, if you can understand it, is just to add them together and divide by 2. So I got 61, and then I sketched that in there, and it looked good. And then I know now I can get my amplitude, just how far. The amplitude is just the distance between the center line and the minimums and the maximums. So I just took my 85 and subtracted the 61, and I got 24. So now I have B, and I have my amplitude, which is A, and now I feel like I want to think about H and K. Well, I know K is my center line. So I need my phase shift, and so even though I didn't have the rest of the graph, I kind of, by looking at what I do have, I didn't want to use sine because a sine graph, I mean, you could have used sine, but sine graph usually has 3 points on the center line. I don't even have a point on the center line. Well, I mean, I guess I have that. This just seemed more like a cosine, closer to a cosine graph to me, so it's upside down cosine. There's a cosine graph. So I decided to let it be a cosine graph, even though I didn't have this part over here. I know that the period is, or I know that, you know, the year has 365 days. So, and this graph, if it's a cosine graph, it's going to have symmetry. So I just took this was 17, and I added 365 to 17, and I ended up out here. So, and that point doesn't really matter so much. That's just, I just wanted a picture. So now I've got a picture. And so I'm pretty happy with calling it a cosine graph. So, and it's a cosine graph that is moved to the right by 17. And that's all I need to know, because now I've got my amplitude. I got A, I got B, I got H, and I got K. So this is how I wrote mine. And then they asked me, this part actually took me longer than the rest. They asked me to find out what was the temperature on Valentine's Day, which was the 44th day. So I know I have to plug in 44 right here, and I found out 44 minus 17 is 27. But the problem I ran into was getting that into my calculator. I assumed that I need radian mode. Actually, I didn't try it with degree mode, but I did end up getting the right answer in the end, and I'll tell you how I did it. Because I wasn't cool enough to use my parentheses correctly, I could not type this in. So what I did is I typed in, I found out what 2 pi over 365 was, and then I multiplied it by 27. And then I have an A and S button, so I took the cosine of the answer, and that gave me some little decimal, and then I multiplied it by negative 24, and that gave me some little number, some negative number, but then I added the 61 to it, and I actually got the same answer as the answer book. So it's 39.54 degrees. On Valentine's Day. And so I'll let you work that out with your particular calculator that you have. But if it helps any, I was in radian mode and I told you how I did it. So good luck with that one.